The sun had barely risen when three men in dark uniforms marched toward Marcus Hale's home. Their badges looked official, but something about them screamed off. Marcus, a tall black man with calm eyes, noticed them from his porch as he sipped his coffee. "HOA enforcement," one barked. "Step aside, you're under arrest for violating neighborhood codes." Marcus raised an eyebrow. He had lived here for 5 years, paid every fee, followed every rule. Yet these men carried cuffs and tasers like police. Something wasn't right. The neighbors peeked from behind curtains, whispering. Marcus stood still, silent, watching. He wasn't just a homeowner. He was something much bigger. Something they weren't ready to discover. "Hands where we can see them," the fake officer shouted. Marcus didn't flinch. His voice was calm, steady. "You boys should think very carefully about your next step." The leader smirked, mistaking composure for weakness. They advanced, confident this would be another easy intimidation. What they didn't know was that Marcus Hale wasn't an ordinary man bound by fear of false authority. He was the FBI's most feared counterintelligence operative, known in secret circles as the Ghost. No one who had crossed him professionally had ever come out victorious. And now, standing on his porch, he knew these imposters had no idea who they were dealing with. One of the fake cops lunged forward, trying to grab Marcus's arm. With barely a movement, Marcus shifted, twisting the man's wrist and disarming him in seconds. The taser clattered to the ground. The other two froze, shock flooding their eyes. "You're not HOA police," Marcus said flatly. "So who sent you?" His tone was low, commanding. The man groaned on the ground, clutching his arm, while the leader stuttered. "We're just doing our job." Marcus crouched, his piercing gaze locking onto the man. "Your job is lying. Tell me who paid you, or this porch becomes your last stop." The neighbors gasped, realizing this quiet man wasn't who they thought. The leader tried bluffing. "The HOA board," Marcus cut him off. "Don't insult me. I've interrogated foreign spies tougher than you." His calmness rattled them. Suddenly, Marcus's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, glancing quickly. It was a coded message from the bureau. A new operation had just been triggered in this very county. Coincidence? Impossible. Marcus understood, these fake enforcers weren't random. They were connected to something bigger, a criminal network hiding behind neighborhood politics. He stood, towering over the men. "You came to my door with lies. Now you'll tell me everything, and if you don't, the FBI will." The imposters exchanged panicked looks. "Wait, the FBI," one stammered. Marcus smirked. "That's right. And you just picked the wrong house." In a flash, unmarked black SUVs pulled up down the street. Real agents stepped out, weapons ready, eyes scanning. The neighbors gasped louder now, realizing Marcus hadn't been bluffing. He was no victim, he was the authority. "Take them," Marcus ordered, his voice carrying weight. The imposters struggled, shouting excuses as agents cuffed them properly. As they were dragged away, Marcus turned back to his neighbors. "Don't be fooled," he said. "Corruption hides in plain sight, even in your HOA. And today, we ripped the mask off." Inside the Bureau's mobile command unit, Marcus reviewed files. The three imposters weren't just random thugs. They were tied to a shadow group laundering money through neighborhood associations. Fake fines, fake enforcement, fake authority, all part of a nationwide scam. "They're deeper than we thought," one agent said. Marcus nodded grimly. "And they wanted me out of the way." He realized his cover as an ordinary homeowner had been compromised. Someone high up had exposed his address. That wasn't a mistake, it was a message. Marcus clenched his jaw. They thought intimidation would silence him. Instead, it had ignited a war. That night, Marcus walked his quiet street. Porch lights glowed, families laughed indoors, yet the shadows whispered danger. His neighbors now looked at him differently, half in awe, half in fear. He understood. Ordinary people avoided confrontation, but Marcus had lived in confrontation his whole life. He remembered his father's words, "As a black man in America, son, they'll test you twice as hard. But strength isn't in rage, it's in control." Marcus carried those lessons into the FBI, mastering the art of calm power. Now, standing against this HOA syndicate, he knew control would be his greatest weapon again. The next morning, the HOA board president, a smug man named Richard Cole, appeared at Marcus's doorstep. "Mr. Hale, there seems to be a misunderstanding," he began, faking politeness. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Misunderstanding? Your men impersonated police and tried to arrest me." Richard smirked. "They're contractors. Sometimes things get messy." Marcus's eyes narrowed. He recognized arrogance when he saw it. Richard wasn't scared, he was untouchable, or so he believed. "Leave my property," Marcus warned. But Richard only grinned wider. "Or what? You'll call the cops. Good luck, Mr. Hale. Around here, we write the rules." After Richard left, Marcus called his bureau contact. "He's bold," Marcus said. "Too bold. He thinks the HOA protects him." The contact replied, "Not just the HOA. We've traced money from his board to offshore accounts, millions." Marcus realized the truth, this wasn't about lawns or fences. This was organized crime, using neighborhood power as a shield. Marcus gathered his files, every fine, every letter he'd received. Each one was evidence. He whispered to himself, "They thought I was just another black man they could push out. They're about to learn I'm the storm they never saw coming." The Bureau launched a deeper probe. Wiretaps confirmed Richard's board was extorting families, targeting minorities, and funneling money into secret accounts. But Marcus knew arrests alone wouldn't be enough. The neighborhood needed to see the truth with their own eyes. He attended the next HOA meeting, walking into the crowded hall. Gasps echoed, neighbors weren't used to his presence. Richard, seated at the front, sneered. "Mr. Hale, here to complain again?" Marcus dropped a thick folder on the table. "No. I'm here to expose you." Murmurs filled the room as Richard's smile faltered for the first time. Marcus began reading aloud. Fake violation letters. Forged signatures. Bank transfers. Every page was a nail in Richard's coffin. The board members shifted uncomfortably, whispers rising among neighbors. "This is slander." Richard roared, but his voice cracked under pressure. Marcus stared him down. "You sent men to my house pretending to be police. You tried to intimidate me. But intimidation doesn't work on me. It only proves your guilt." Suddenly, FBI agents in the back of the room stepped forward. The neighbors gasped again as Richard's world began crumbling. The man who claimed to write the rules was losing his script. Richard bolted for the door, but agents tackled him instantly. The crowd erupted, some cheering, some in shock. Marcus didn't celebrate. He knew Richard was just one piece of the puzzle. "Take him," Marcus ordered. "And dig deeper." The meeting dissolved into chaos as board members scrambled. Families approached Marcus, thanking him, some apologizing for doubting him. He nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead. He had cracked open the shell of corruption, but the rot went far deeper. As Richard was dragged away, he hissed at Marcus, "You think you've won? You've only lit the fuse." The warning echoed in Marcus's mind. That night, his security cameras caught shadows circling his home. More imposters, different men this time. They weren't there to intimidate. They were there to eliminate. Marcus armed himself, his movements precise, professional. A black man defending his home might look different to the world, but Marcus knew his rights, and his skills. When the intruders forced entry, they were met not with fear, but with the cold precision of an FBI ghost. Within minutes, they were on the floor, restrained, moaning in pain. Marcus called it in. The war Richard promised had begun. The Bureau uncovered shocking truths. The HOA syndicate wasn't local, it stretched across multiple states, a vast empire built on fear and exploitation. Marcus briefed his team. They hide behind neighborhood laws, targeting the vulnerable. Immigrants, minorities, single mothers, they extort those least able to fight back. His voice was steel. We're not just dismantling a crime ring. We're reclaiming dignity for every family they silenced. The agents nodded, fired up. Marcus knew this mission wasn't just professional. It was personal. Growing up, he'd watched his own family be pushed around by false authority. Now, he was ending that cycle. Undercover operations began. Agents posed as homeowners, recording board demands. Others traced money trails through offshore banks. Every move confirmed Marcus's theory: the HOA syndicate wasn't about community, it was about control. Meanwhile, Richard, behind bars, continued taunting. Smuggled notes reached Marcus: "You can't stop us all. We are the system." Marcus burned with determination. Systems could be corrupted, yes. But systems could also be broken. And he had spent his career breaking the unbreakable. He whispered to himself, "They'll regret choosing this neighborhood. Because I'm not moving, I'm fighting." Weeks turned into months. Arrests mounted, bank accounts froze, properties seized. But with every victory, resistance grew fiercer. Marcus was followed, threatened, even nearly ambushed again. Still, he stood firm. His neighbors, once distant, now rallied. They brought him food, offered support, even stood watch. For the first time, the community wasn't ruled by fear, it was united by courage. Marcus looked around and realized, this was what the syndicate feared most. Not law enforcement, not prison. Unity. And he had sparked it. Finally, the day came for the federal hearing. Richard and dozens of associates stood trial. Marcus testified, his words sharp as blades. He detailed every forgery, every intimidation tactic, every cent stolen. The courtroom was packed, tension thick. Richard glared, but his arrogance had withered. The jury listened intently, and when the verdict came, guilty on all counts, the room erupted. Marcus didn't smile. Justice wasn't about celebration. It was about restoration. Families who had lived in fear could now breathe freely again. And that mattered more than applause. After the trial, Marcus walked through his neighborhood. Children played outside again. Neighbors waved without fear. The HOA signs that once symbolized oppression now meant nothing more than community events. Marcus felt a weight lift, but he knew the fight wasn't over. There would always be another Richard, another syndicate, another mask of authority trying to control the powerless. But he also knew something else: he would always be ready. Because fear couldn't thrive where truth stood tall. And Marcus was truth embodied. One evening, a young boy approached Marcus. "Mr. Hale," he said softly, "my dad says you're a hero." Marcus knelt, eye level with the child. "Heroes aren't the ones who fight," he said gently. "They're the ones who refuse to give up, no matter how scared they are." The boy smiled, nodding. Marcus's heart warmed. He had faced assassins, criminals, corruption, but moments like this were why he fought. To show the next generation that dignity was worth defending. To prove that no one, no matter how powerful, could erase truth. As the sun set behind his home, Marcus sat on his porch again, sipping coffee like that morning months ago. But everything had changed. The fake HOA police who once tried to arrest him were gone, their empire dismantled. His neighbors were free, his community strong. Marcus knew threats would always come, but he would meet them with calm, control, and unshakable resolve. Because he wasn't just Marcus Hale, homeowner. He was the ghost, the most feared FBI agent. And anyone who dared come for him, or his people, would learn what fear truly meant.